Okay, this is a response to Brett Keane in his video Inmendham, Antinatalism and Efilism.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Brett Keane. Make sure you check out my main YouTube channel, Keane Vlogs. I've had antinatalist say to me...
Which antinatalist? I know I'm one because I've said it specifically that you did make a video that defended antinatalism against a guy who's basically making the same arguments you were making in a recent video.
Why is it that it seemed as though you agreed with antinatalist at one point in time, that you listened to Gary and even said in his chat rooms that you may even support some of his ideas? Well, the problem with Gary is there's some days where he makes a lot of sense, and then there's other days where he scares the living shit out of people.
Which people?
But a lot of people don't like to admit that. A lot of people don't actually listen to Gary whenever he's talking. And
you have proof of this?
Doubt, even though you hear the obvious and clear insanity in this clip, you probably still won't listen, and you probably still won't pay attention.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why people like Gary are very dangerous, because people who are weak-willed and weak-minded will sit there and only hear the things they want to hear, but
like
not
you.
actually the truth. Yeah. Let's take a listen.
Oh, yeah, and also, if you're going to play a clip from a video, you might want to put a link to the actual video.
News for the anti-natalist is once they have power, right, once they have even a slim majority, they can just extort the rest of the world to play ball. Alright? Because they can just make their little doomsday device and say, look, if you Muslims aren't going to play along, we're going to blow we're going to blow you to hell. Okay? Because yeah, our whole end game is an end game. Alright? And you're going to try to get in our way. You're going to stop us for doing this the right way. And so if that's going to be your mission, then we're not going to get along. Now, you can peaceably live your life out, pray to Allah all you want, but you can't have more Allah lovers. Okay? It's all over. Okay? You're all going to go to God now, and that'll be the last generation going to God. And if God wants to stop us, he's going to have to strike us with lightning or something like that, right? You believe he's all powerful and all that shit? Well, let him stop us. Okay, let him thwart us. But we're not going to let you fuck us.
Okay, so he's saying once we get a majority, yeah, I mean, I'm going to use the example of slavery. I mean, it would have been nice if we could have avoided the Civil War. Maybe we could have, I don't know. But the fact is, slavery was wrong and it needed to be stopped. So, yeah, using force against the people, I mean... procreation to the antinatalist or the Efilist is an imposition. It's the first crime, and if they're not going to go along with it, perhaps force is necessary. I would hope we wouldn't have to do that, but I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. That's not my first choice. Very last choice is to inflict harm, because I mean, using you know, I've said it before, a man-made doomsday device I'm a little leery of, because you know, I mean, if you're talking about nuke in the Middle East, I'd be leery of that even. But if you could come up with a doomsday device that could wipe out everything quickly, and I mean very quickly, like a millisecond, and painlessly, yeah, I could be 100% sure that it's going to work, I would say go for it. But so, and again, this is not addressing the argument of antinatalism and Efilism. This is just one clip out of 2,000. I mean, is this an Inmendham video? Is it one of his other channels? Where'd you get this? So, like I say, we might. This is something that could be debated amongst antinatalists or Efilists, but the philosophy of it is sound. This is just Inmendham's thoughts on how we can end the game. Anyhow.
So it's about extortion, it's about control, it's about telling the rest of the world that it's either our way or the highway.
Yeah, well, I mean, should we have just said Well, we'll just let slavery die out on its own, and let the slave owners keep their slaves until they come to their senses, right? Yeah, I mean, sometimes force is necessary. I don't like the idea of using force, but anyhow.
Basically, the highway to hell, of course, according to Gary.
Highway to hell? No, it's not a highway to hell. Why are you using the word hell? It's a highway to extinction. That's the end game of antinatalism. That's why Inmendham came up with Efilism, because there was certain antinatalists that didn't think all natalism was bad. They were saying that it's just a population control thing. No, antinatalism says procreation is not ethical. The end game is extinction.
So if the Muslims don't do what he wants, or the Christians, or people that have different views and ideologies than him...
Oh yeah, Christians and Muslims, that's just a view and an ideology. It's delusional thought. There is no Allah. There is no God of Abraham. Those are myths. And if you're going to cling to that myth, and you just refuse to accept the truth, like I said, I wouldn't nuke the Middle East, because there's no. I mean, unless you could guarantee, when you use a nuke, the people at ground zero aren't going to feel a thing. It's the people on the edges of the explosion that are going to suffer. I don't want to make anybody suffer to death. So, yeah.
Than him, and he's already shown repeatedly that atheists who disagree with him are fucking pond scum, then that pretty much means any human being who goes against his ideology or views, he will push the button on the little fucking destructive device to cause.
Well, I mean, were slave owners pond scum, or weren't they? I mean, procreation is imposing life on a being that you can't get consent from, and the game of life is just stupid. So were slave owners not pond scum? I mean, as a determinist, they couldn't help it. It's just the way their brains worked. I mean, the brain's in control. If you got a brain that can see the truth and tell the truth, then you're lucky. All right. But yeah, slave owners were wrong, and should we let them? Should we not call them out on it?
Problems, and I guess people don't see a problem with that. People don't see an issue with that. We can see that dictators throughout history have had the same justice.
We're not talking about dictatorship. We got a majority now. The majority of people have figured out this game is stupid, and it needs to be stopped. Extinction is the end game. There's no reason to continue this stupid-ass game.
Vacation and reasoning in mind. And one thing that these killers and murderers throughout time have not understood is they actually see what they're doing as good and righteous.
Well, no, they're not. They weren't talking. They wanted their people to keep going. We don't want any people to keep going. We want the game, the entire game, to stop. We don't want to kill off just the Christians and just the Muslims or the Jews or whatever nationality or group. We want extinction of all life, everything.
And a way to bring peace or the end of suffering by actually implicating and actually pushing the very concept of suffering, because their suffering is done in a good way, but everybody else's suffering is bad.
That's just completely wrong. That's not the antinatalist argument. We're saying that whether I suffer or someone else suffers doesn't matter. It's somebody is suffering.
Make sense yet?
I mean, those kind of arguments are going to be made. So the point is once antinatalists are the majority, it's going to be real hard for anybody to fight with them, because they are a perfect army. They have nothing to lose. They're not fighting to win. Right? They're fighting for a graceful end. And they can fight with that a lot harder than you can fight for when you're trying to save it because you want to take it over. We don't want to live on their land, so we can make it radioactive.
Yeah, well, see, I'll disagree with that. I don't want to make the Middle East radioactive. Unless he means just completely. If he wants to wipe out, everybody without leaving some people suffering behind, then I'd have to disagree.
You see how he chuckles and actually giggles as he explains the destruction and the control, the state of affairs that he's trying to put humanity in. He doesn't even...
He talked about a graceful exit there, so I mean, again, this is, you got 2 clips out of, 2,000 videos, and you're not really addressing antinatalism and Efilism. You're just addressing Inmendham's particular desire to, method, if you will, of bringing about an exit. But he did say graceful exit, so I wouldn't call simply irradiating the Middle East graceful. So again, maybe Inmendham can clarify what he was saying here. Again, you should have had clips, links to the full video. Maybe I could get a better context. But yeah, I wouldn't want to just irradiate the Middle East unless it meant quick and painless death.
Doesn't see it as a bad thing at all. In fact, he feels some kind of pleasure off of the idea of actually enslaving the minds of people and telling people this is the way it's going to be, this is the way we're going to end it. We don't have a cause, we don't have a reason. Our only agenda really is to destroy everything. And that is the reason why he's antinatalist.
Well, we have a cause. The game is stupid. The cause is extinction of all life. I mean, it'd be best if everybody agreed to stop procreating. Right? That would be the best way. But if people are going to keep their delusions, something's got to be done.
Because he knows that if people continue to have children and continue to reproduce, that this will basically bring up the probability of the human race actually existing through a lot of different things. But if people are not having babies, and then on the other hand he's sitting there destroying all the people who are already here, which is his ideology of Efilism, then what do you
what was that?
have? You have nothing. You have extinction, which is his ideology of Efilism. Not having babies, and then on the other hand he's sitting there destroying all the people who are already here, which is his ideology of Efilism.
Well, now, Efilism is just explaining that the game is stupid. The method to get to extinction is not 100% agreeable with everybody. Like I say, if I had a button I could 100% guarantee extinction of all life quickly and painlessly, I'd hit that button. But I wouldn't trust any man-made device because you can't test it. And how do you test the doomsday device?
Then what do you have? You have nothing. You have extinction of the human race. And
it's not just the human race, it's extinction of all life. Because the game of life is stupid. No one should be forced to play it. And that's what you do when you procreate. You're forcing someone to play a stupid game.
Simply because he didn't enjoy his life. Simply because
he said he has enjoyed his life. You're just so full of shit. He said he's had a better life than most, but he can look at the world and see others suffering and say, it doesn't matter whether they're suffering or I'm suffering. Suffering is going on for no good reason.
Never respected himself. So he wants to see destruction, he wants to see death. But of course,
no,
in his eyes, he's doing it.
If they don't play along, if they don't agree that the game of life is stupid, if they're going to cling to their mythical gods, why should we respect the opinion of a delusional mind?
For the righteous, he's doing it for the good of mankind, of course.
And he's doing it for the good of all sentient beings. There's no reason for sentient beings to be brought into a harmful world without their consent.
Yeah. And you guys actually fall for this shit. You guys actually eat this up. And
well, no, see, you put 2 short clips of Inmendham being kind of, you know, expressing his opinion about the method of extinction, but you don't really address the philosophy of antinatalism or Efilism. You just play these 2 freaking clips and say, that's what you know, we're just nodding our heads with Inmendham with whatever he says. Well, when he's talking about the philosophy of antinatalism or Efilism, he makes sense. You know, and again, the 2 clips he played, he said if they don't play along, if they're going to cling to their delusions, maybe force is necessary. He talked about he wants a graceful exit, and you're just turning it into complete craziness. I mean, I admit, I wouldn't do from those 2 clips. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily agree with what he's saying. But when he's talking about antinatalism and Efilism, I haven't seen it. Maybe, you know, minor points, but the soundness of antinatalism and Efilism is there.
So you believe that you're doing something good. Well, when people are insane, the difference between sane people and insane is insane people, they don't know the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah, and the people who believe in the God of Abraham are insane. They're believing something that just is not true.
All they know is their way. So,
now, all we know...
That's that. Peace out, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check out...
Yeah, that's what we're looking for, peace. When all life is extinct, there will be peace. There's peace on Mars, right? The reason there's peace on Mars is because there's no sentient life. Once you bring sentient life into the world, you got problems. Okay? That's one simple point to be made. Sentient beings create problems. And you're just going to play these 2 clips and think that you've countered the antinatalist or Efilist argument. So I call bullshit. Thanks for watching.